World War II is remembered for its massive battles and famous generals. But tucked inside that history is a story almost no one was taught. A story about a black battalion whose courage, precision, and relentlessness helped turn the tide of the war. They didn't just fight for victory abroad, they fought for dignity, respect, and recognition in a world that doubted them at every step. In this video, we're uncovering the untold story of the Black Battalion whose battlefield success struck a blow against Hitler's forces and helped push the Allies toward victory. These soldiers faced segregation at home, brutal combat overseas, and impossible odds. Yet they became one of the most effective units on the front lines. Their legacy is powerful, inspiring, and long overdue for acknowledgement. Before we dive into their heroic journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because stories like this deserve to be brought out of the shadows and into the spotlight. Who were these forgotten heroes? The 751st Tank Battalion, nicknamed the Black Panthers, was an independent tank battalion of the United States Army during World War II. Activated in 1942, this unit was made up entirely of African American soldiers, except for some of the commanding officers. At a time when America's military was still segregated, these men volunteered to fight for a country that didn't even treat them as equals. They trained at Camp Claiborne in Louisiana and later at Fort Hood in Texas, enduring not just the rigors of military training, but also the harsh reality of Jim Crow segregation. These soldiers couldn't eat at the same restaurants, use the same facilities, or receive the same respect as their white counterparts, yet they were preparing to risk their lives for freedom overseas. The long wait and hard training. The 751st Tank Battalion spent over 2 years training before they ever saw combat. Many believed they would never get the chance to fight because military leaders doubted that black soldiers could handle complex machinery like tanks or perform well in combat situations. These racist assumptions almost kept them stateside permanently. But these men trained harder than anyone expected. They mastered the M4 Sherman tanks, learned combat tactics, and proved their capabilities again and again. Their commanding officer, Paul Bates, was one of the few white officers who truly believed in his men's abilities. He fought against the prejudice and pushed for his battalion to be sent into action. Finally, in October 1944, they received orders to deploy to Europe. Arriving in the war zone. When the 751st arrived in France in October 1944, the war was at a critical point. Allied forces were pushing into Germany, but Nazi resistance remained fierce. The battalion was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army. Before they went into battle, Patton gave them a speech that would become legendary. He told them that everyone had their eyes on them, that this was their chance to prove what they could do. He reportedly said he didn't care what color they were as long as they could kill Germans. While his words weren't perfect, they gave the battalion the green light to show what they were made of, and show they did. Within days of entering combat, the 751st Tank Battalion was fighting through French villages, engaging German forces, and proving every doubter wrong. Battle after battle without rest. The 751st Tank Battalion fought for 183 consecutive days without relief. Let that sink in for a moment. Most military units were rotated out of combat to rest and recover, but not the Black Panthers. They kept fighting through some of the war's most brutal conditions. They participated in the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's last major offensive, where they faced freezing temperatures, heavy snow, and desperate German attacks. They helped liberate French towns and pushed into Germany itself. They fought in the Rhineland campaign and helped capture German cities. Their tanks rolled through enemy territory, supporting infantry, clearing roads, and taking on German armor. They suffered casualties, lost friends, and endured unimaginable stress, but they never stopped. Their combat record speaks for itself, with numerous commendations and decorations earned through blood and bravery. Breaking through enemy lines. One of the battalion's most significant achievements came during the push through the Siegfried Line, Germany's heavily fortified defensive barrier. This was a network of bunkers, tank traps, and minefields designed to stop any invasion of German territory. Breaking through required not just firepower, but incredible coordination and courage. The 751st worked alongside infantry units, using their tanks to provide cover and blast through fortifications. They faced German artillery, anti-tank weapons, and determined defenders who knew they were fighting for their homeland. Despite the odds, the Black Panthers punched through these defenses, opening the way for Allied forces to advance deeper into Germany. Their actions directly contributed to shortening the war and saving countless lives. A hero among heroes. Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers became one of the battalion's most celebrated heroes, though his story remained largely unknown for decades. During combat in France, Rivers' tank hit a German mine, wounding him severely in the leg. Medical officers ordered him to evacuate for treatment, but Rivers refused. He knew his crew needed him, and he wasn't about to abandon them in the middle of a fight. For 3 more days, Rivers continued to lead his tank crew, fighting through the pain and continuing to engage enemy forces. On November 19, 1944, near the French town of Goubling, his tank was hit by German fire. Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers was killed in action. For his extraordinary courage and sacrifice, he was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor in 1997, more than 50 years after his death. Coming home to an unchanged America. When the war ended and these heroes returned home, you might expect them to be celebrated as the champions they were. Instead, they came back to the same segregated America they had left. They couldn't vote in many states, faced discrimination in employment and housing, and were often denied the benefits given to white veterans. Some were even attacked while wearing their uniforms. The irony was crushing. These men had fought against fascism and racism in Europe, only to face it again at home. But their service wasn't in vain. The 751st and other black military units proved beyond any doubt that African Americans could serve with distinction in any role. Their courage and competence helped lay the groundwork for the eventual integration of the U.S. military in 1948 and contributed to the broader civil rights movement. Recognition that came too late. For decades, the 751st Tank Battalion's heroism was largely ignored. It wasn't until 1978 that the battalion received the Presidential Unit Citation, and individual soldiers, like Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers, received long overdue honors such as the Medal of Honor, Silver Stars, and Bronze Stars, often decades late. This delay reflects a broader pattern of overlooking Black Americans' contributions. Today, efforts continue to ensure their bravery is recognized and their stories passed on to new generations. The Black Battalion you just learned about didn't defeat Hitler single-handedly. No single unit did, but their impact was undeniable. Their skill, bravery, and determination helped crush the Nazi war machine and proved that excellence thrives even under injustice. Their service changed the course of the war and helped force America to rethink the limits it tried to place on them. Which part of their story moved you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what stood out for you. If this video helped shine light on heroes often left out of the history books, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep honoring the warriors history tried to forget.